I am creating a committee for a nonpartisan president. Why am I doing this? The biggest issue is all of the infighting that we're seeing. It is starting to feel like we can't agree on anything, and the hatred is at an all-time high. I think that this has been exacerbated tremendously by social media. I posted something on Facebook not that long ago, basically saying something like, "Can't we all get along?" Only it was quoting someone smart. I don't even remember who it was. And one of my Facebook friends, who's a smart person, said, "Lily, it's too late. We're being inextricably brought towards civil war, and there's nothing that can be done about that." Well, I like to think, instead of just listening to people complain, that there is a solution. I choose not to be a defeatist, because the Lord of the Rings nerds among you know that you don't give up because the alternative is unacceptable. You just keep on pushing forward. Fundamentally, even though some of you know my political leanings, I'm coming to you as an American first and foremost. Well, a human being, I guess, first and foremost, and an American, not as a Democrat or a Republican, because this is something that has to go beyond those two parties. There's the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branches of government. The executive enforces the laws, the legislative creates the laws, and the judicial branch interprets the laws. Vast majority of the federal government is in the executive branch. The President of the United States appoints those individuals to those positions. It's the bureaucracy. The way that we have our bureaucracy set up right now, it is unfortunately who toes the party line. The person who toes the party line is going to be the one that gets the appointment, not necessarily the person who is most qualified for the job. So the question then becomes, who is the president working for? Who is the official, the government official that was appointed by the president working for? Is the president working for the American people, or is the president working for either the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, whoever appointed him that particular cycle? But every single time there's a change in party, then the people who were towing the party lines, who were contributing and who were going to the rallies, sort of expect that now that there's a Republican in office, or now that there's a Democrat in office, it's time for me to get that appointment that I've been counting on. That's another issue that needs to be resolved, because we really want to have a president that answers to the American people, not a president that answers to their party leader. The Founding Fathers intended that there wouldn't be political parties, and it ended up being sort of treated as almost a necessary evil. But does it have to be? There is still absolutely a place for the parties, but it belongs in Congress and it belongs in state government. They give voters who don't have time to spend their entire day researching each and every candidate important cues on who they should and shouldn't vote for. They know the issues that they've been told, unfortunately, to be passionate about. Unfortunately, that can get taken a little too far, and that's what we're seeing in our government right now, because it's important for the parties to mobilize more and more and more voters. The way that you get any person who's really busy mobilized to go out and vote is unfortunately through misinformation, through fear tactics. That's what you see, and it's not just the Democrats, it's not just the Republicans, it's both. And it's gotten worse, and it's gotten worse, and it's gotten worse. And what has happened is we have propped the person who wins the presidency up to a cult of personality. You look at President Barack Obama, and it was a cult of personality, and you look at President Trump, and it's a cult of personality, and it's a cult of personality around which the party in power swarms to that person, the president, and the party that's out of power strives to vilify and overthrow. An issue comes up that is a nonpartisan issue. Immigration used to be a nonpartisan issue. Healthcare reform used to be a nonpartisan issue. A party wants to get voters, so they take that issue and they turn it into a partisan issue. And whatever party grabs onto it first, and then they use fear tactics and they use misinformation, and that's how they get people to vote. The executive branch should be nonpartisan. This is not the legislative branch. The executive's job is to enforce the laws. The executive branch really should be the one that should be above partisan bickering, because he needs to make sure, or she needs to be making sure that the laws that Congress passes are enforced. But for the last, ever since I was a kid, and a lot longer than that, you've got the people who are on stage talking about all the laws that they're going to pass. And well, they're doing that because they want to get the nomination. You get gridlock when that happens, when you've got the executive that's supposed to be above partisan bickering, the one that actually is supposed to be making sure that things get done. Instead, he has to pick sides, or she has to pick sides. That's the problem. That's what we need to fix. The executive branch really can't do its job if it is picking sides. Because you've got obstructionist politics. The party that's out of power doesn't want the other party to get anything done. You saw it with Obama with healthcare, you see it with Trump with the wall. Do you need someone like a mom getting above all of it and saying, you two go into your different corners and figure this out? It's a problem with both parties. Neither party is in the right. And a big step towards fixing this issue would be to make it so the president has to be nonpartisan. So how would that look? Well, it's a constitutional amendment, but I think that it's a constitutional amendment that everyone can get behind. That's the secret. We need a constitutional amendment to fix the problem, but we need a constitutional amendment that everyone can agree upon. Everyone can agree upon this. The Democrats, the Republicans, the conservatives, the liberals. The only people that are going to be opposed to this idea are the people that benefit from Americans being divided. We need to be Americans first. We need to get back to the way that we were on September 12th, 2001. On September 12th, 2001, I remember that day. Everyone was devastated because we had been attacked and we were feeling very vulnerable, but we were Americans first. That's what we need to get back to. I wanted to talk to you, I guess, also about what it would look like. Well, there are lots of states that have nonpartisan officials, and I know what that looks like as an assistant state's attorney and someone who ran for a state's attorney, what a nonpartisan election can look like. The primaries, you still have candidates that have campaigns for that person's candidacy. They will go to a primary election. There will not be an R or a D by their name. People will vote for the top two people that they would like to see get the presidency. The people with the top two votes will advance to a general election. And then there will be certain rules that the president has to follow, one of which is that he or she can't opine on individual candidates for any office. He or she can't participate in rallies for Democrats or Republicans. He or she has to remain nonpartisan. And that's my concept.